Hi everybody. Well, this is week 3 for those of you who came to the September workshop. So we're now in our 3rd feeding. If you came to the October workshop, you're on your 2nd feeding. Go ahead and look at that video and then you can get a sneak peek for next week. So we've done 2 feedings, right? The very first one when we set up our bin and then a week later. So now we're going to go in, take a look at what's going on and do our 3rd feeding. And at this point, you're going to engage your brain because I'm not going to tell you how to do this anymore. This is going to be something you figure out with your own observation and common sense because everybody does it different. There's no longer a recipe. So I'm going to show you what I want you to look for so that you are engaged with this process, not just throwing food in blindly. And you're going to keep right ahead of your worms, but not too far ahead. So let's take a look at what's been going on. I'm going to take the bin blanket off. And as you know, the worms are photophobic. And what does that mean, boys and girls? Yeah, it means they're afraid of light. So as soon as I do this, you know they're going to scurry to the bottom. So we may not see any worms here, but we're going to see some goopy food, and that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to take off the bin blanket. And now we're looking at our cover, which is starting to disintegrate. And I know this is the first side we fed. So let me pull back the paper cover, see what's going on. And what I see is almost all the food is gone. I see just a little bit of banana peel left. Oop, hi wormy. Put you back in. I see there's just a little bit of food left. It's great. They went through that, the whole 3 pounds. And just a little bit is what I'm looking for. If there's a little bit of food left after 2 weeks, that is perfect. And I'm going to be ready to feed on this side again. So let's see what happened on our 2nd feeding over on this side. Pull back the paper. Watch out, wormies, here I come. And I see a few worms scurrying to the bottom as fast as they can. And I see some goopy food in there. Not much, but a little bit of goopy veggies and stuff. That's exactly right, because that has to last them for a little while. But it looks like they're processing this really well. So I've put 6 pounds of food in here already, and it's practically gone. So, 3rd feeding, I am feeling confident. I want to push these guys a little bit because they seem to be doing really, really well processing. I had a little fruit fly issue. Most of us do in the beginning. Don't worry about it. There's a little bit of food in here for them to work on, but I'm really, really ready to give them more. And I think this week I'm going to go for 5 pounds. So here we go. So for our 3rd feeding, we're back on the original side. That's it. So there's that little bit of banana peel left, a little bit of corn, which takes a long time to break down. And I see wormies scurrying to the bottom to get out of the light. And I'm going to feed these guys 5 pounds so that they can really get into it because they're doing a great job. So now we're back on, going to go back to the original side, our 1st feeding, and feed on that side again. So I've got my bucket of food, and I'm going to measure out about 5 pounds because my guys are doing great. So once again, you always push the paper out of the way. You're not going to layer food, paper, food, paper. You're going to go back to the original food layer. And man, there's hardly anything left. Man, they went through that 3 pounds really quick. So let's give them some more. So I'm going to zero out my scale. Okay, 0. And I am going to give them 5 pounds. So what do I have this week? I always have a lot of bananas. And I got some apple, rotten apple, and some pineapple rind. I'm going to tear that up a little. I got some carrot pulp from juicing. I got some moldy strawberries, more apple, more pineapple. Okay, that's about 1 pound. I keep going. More pineapple, break that up a little. And of course, if you break stuff or cut stuff up more, they're going to be able to eat it faster. So if you looked on your layer and there was still a lot of food left, maybe you need to chop it up a little bit more. It's all going to depend on how much you pre-process by chopping or even freezing and thawing, and what the actual food is. Most of this stuff is pretty light. They can go through pretty quick. Moldy strawberries, a little bit of kale in there. Oh my gosh, it seems like so much food, but these wormies can handle it. Okay, there I am, 5 pounds of food. Oh my gosh, that seems like so much for that little handful of worms, but I guarantee you they can do it. So I'm just going to dump this right in. Wow. Spread it out a little bit on the bed, about half of the bed, covered with this delicious meal. Oh, and I wanted to add one more thing. Can't have a meal that good without dessert, right? Well, I really scored big this week. When I went to pick up the food at Waimanalo Elementary, the kitchen lady said, "Can you take this chocolate chip cookie dough? We have 6 slabs of it. We found it in the back of the freezer, and it's probably been there a year, and we're not going to make cookies out of it. We were going to throw it away." But then someone said, "Oh no, Miss Mindy's coming. Let's ask her if she can give it to the worms." Well, are you kidding me? Chocolate chip cookie dough? Woohoo! I don't care that it's been in the freezer a year. I don't care if it's really yucky. Chocolate chip cookie dough is chocolate chip cookie dough. So I'm going to add, not a ton, but just a little dessert for my wormies, because this is really, really delish. So, ooh, old, icky chocolate chip cookie dough. Yum. Okay, boy, that's cool. And I'll save the rest for others. I'm going to get rid of these 6 slabs I got a bit at a time, just adding a little dessert for my worms. Probably the ants that live in this bin are going to really enjoy that as well. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so there's 5 pounds, folks. 5 pounds of really yummy food, including dessert. And I'm going to cover it up. And I'm probably going to add a little bit of fresh paper, because look how this is disintegrating, and I see pukas everywhere where food is showing. So I'm going to make a little bit more paper. My midweek came. Always good for making paper. Rip a strip. And fluff it up. Let's see if we can do that without too much wind taking it away. Fluff, 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 fluff. Going to add it to the top. Put on a little fresh cover of my nice paper. Going to use all this. And then I'm going to water it good, right? We always water our worms until it drips out the bottom. So I'm nowhere near my hose right now, but I'll get there and we'll give it a good watering. So I'm going to put on a whole fluffy, fluffy layer of newspaper to freshen up the top. I'm going to soak the whole thing down, and that'll be my 3rd feeding. So next week, you're on your own. You're going to take a look over here to see how they're doing. They should have finished everything in your 2nd feeding. It should be all gone, or pretty much, maybe just a bit left. And they should be well into consuming this. Remember, it takes them about 2 weeks to finish most of it. So if you see that you just have a little bit left over here, you're right on target. There's a sweet spot here. You're trying to figure out how to feed them a little more than they need, and that's what stimulates them to make babies, because they say, "Oh, there's plenty of food in here." So that'll stimulate reproduction, and we want more worms in here. And yet you don't want to overwhelm them with food. So this is stuff you figure out by yourself by looking. And it will be different from household to household, because the content of your food that week is going to be different. How much you chop it up is going to make a difference. All kinds of factors. I think the heat also makes a difference. Our worms seem to eat less when it's really hot outside. So there's so many factors, I can't tell you what to do. But you can look, make sure you're not putting any more food in if there's a big, thick layer of gooey food. If there's, after 2 weeks, that much left, you know you need to back off. Give them less, or you can even skip a feeding. I actually am so generous with feeding my worms that from time to time I have to just tell myself, okay, I'm skipping a feeding, let them catch up, because I'll overfeed them. So you want to find that spot where you're feeding ahead of their feeding rate, staying ahead of them, keeping plenty food in that bin, but not overfeeding. I can't tell you how to do it. This is how you do it on your own. You gain experience by doing it week after week. And after a while, as you see food process, you'll get the hang of it. You'll know what you're looking for. You'll know what it's supposed to look like. And don't worry, they can manage whatever. If you're a little less 1 week, it's okay. If you're a little over 1 week, it's okay. The trick is to not get too over and overwhelm them. So be brave. Us 3rd feeders that started early, we're going to go for 5 pounds this week. Let's give it a try. And we'll see where it goes from there. So I'm going to take this somewhere where I can water and drain, put on my bin blanket again, and that's it. Thanks. Good luck. And one more thing, Zero Heroes, after you do your feeding, don't forget to whip out your phone, log in to your account, and log your data. 4 pounds, 5 pounds, 3 pounds, whatever you're feeding. And if you missed one, like maybe the workshop one you forgot because you were so busy putting the bin together, you can add those pounds retroactively. So get caught up with how many pounds of food you fed your worm since the beginning, and our numbers should go through the roof. I think we're just about at 200 pounds now on the day that we're taping. So get caught up if you can, and don't forget, log in. And if for some reason you don't have your account, please get in touch with Augusto and he'll set you up with an account so we can really keep track. Keeping data is really important, and we want to have an accurate count. You don't have to send me a picture of your scale. You're on your honor, but I believe you. Get your numbers in. Thanks, everybody.